RC. Am I?
You guys are now being recorded and live streamed.
Well, as long as the microphone,
The earlier conversation.
as long as the microphone.
I don't know that you want to know.
I'm all up more. Well, don't the microphones have to be on for that?
For what?
The
Recording there? Yeah, you just hit the button.
You ready?
Yep, you can hit that. Those are the ones that catch you too.
Okay, I called the finance committee to order. Roll call, Brian.
Keller,
Present.
Hankinson, Cosgray.
Present. Okay, we got the mayor, we got the police chief, Brian, Mr. Walker, and Terry's online, and we got one council member, Frank. And so we got David Shaw. Mr. Who's the host? Oh, that's us. Yeah, that's us. Okay. I need the approval of the minutes. Anybody go over and look at them? I wrote them.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of written.
Go ahead and second that. Second. Any discussion on it? Hearing none. Roll call.
Keller,
Yeah.
Hankinson,
Yes.
Cosgray.
Yes. Hey, visitors. Debbie, you got anything you want to bring up tonight?
No, can you hear me? I guess I'm not muted. I still can't hear you very well, but it's all.
Can you hear me now?
We'll try to keep it up. We're still working on the audio with the new system. I think we got one more bug to work out.
Okay.
You got anything you want to bring up, right? Or later? Okay, Randy. Okay. 2021 goals. Keep staying within 2021 appropriation. This being December, I think we're doing pretty good. Wait, as at the end of November.
Yeah.
Okay. Old business, none. New business, review the monthly financial. Okay, Brian.
Okay. Let's see, last month we ended with a bank and book balance of $2,365,911.30. Total receipts, $287,713.47. Checks written, $228,387.85. We had adjustments of $370.03. Just to refresh, remember what those adjustments are. Basically, what those are one of them, some of them, majority of them are when someone writes a check or for their water and sewer and it bounces back. That's what those are. Those are adjustments. I have to make those adjustments in my system to balance. They just keep it running total. Sometimes it's in our favor, sometimes it's not. Deposits and transfers of $816,808.75 and outstanding payments of $10,113. So on page 3, there's your outstanding checks for $10,113. On page 4, you had outstanding receipts of $16,808. Wasn't just a credit card receipt this time. This is a timing difference of a few of the checks that we got at the end of the month versus when they got deposited in the bank. We did have one outstanding adjustment of $100. That's one of those things that's in our favor. Um,
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for the reconciliation. Moving on to the payment listing. Like I mentioned, we wrote $228,387.85 worth of checks. Nothing out of really ordinary. It was just a normal month, but there was one check for 40,000. That was for the camera. That was for the camera for the
The
sewer camera.
Oh. Did you pay for all of that? No, because that's split across. Was that all wastewater, or did some of that come out in the?
That was split between water. It was split between sewer and storm.
Storm? Okay.
That makes sense. People bring 10,000, pay no for 11 something.
Yeah, that's the monthly payment to People's Bank. South Central was actually a lot cheaper last month. It was only 10,000 versus the 13,000 it has been. So
Did we lose power? South Central the other night, the storm.
I don't know, Terry. Do you know?
I know people lost that had South Central.
I didn't lose power.
I'm sorry, Brian, what's the question?
Chuck wanted to know if we lost power at out the wastewater plant the other
I
night.
believe the operator thinks that we had like a brownout, but not total loss of power, like a blip.
Did the generator kick on then?
I don't think it was long enough for the generator kick on when it goes in and out like that.
I know people from, I've seen on Facebook, South Central, people losing it.
Another check that I want to point, the Maryland Biochemical Companies weighed 3,000. That was for the bugs.
What's the check to ourselves?
We have a petty cash account here where we go periodically to Dollar General to buy coffee and things, and I've replenished it.
Okay.
We don't go very often. I don't replenish that very often. Any questions, other questions on the check register or payment listing?
I don't have any.
Moving on. Finance report. Interest last month for Star High was $34.63. Rita, last month's distribution was, I don't know where it's at. Oh, there it is. Yeah, 61. Yeah, okay. That's what confused me. I'm already done with December. $61,373.73.
Well, since you're done with December, why don't you go ahead and tell us what that was?
For the month for December, it was around 60. It was like a little over 60,000. For the year, I compared it to last year. It was $14,600 shy of what we collected the previous year.
20 days, it's now, set 2020, a lot of people were not working like.
Well, one of the things from what my conversations with Rita is when the Greif sit there and file their taxes a couple years ago, they prepaid taxes. Well, they prepaid to the point where they didn't owe anything in 2021 versus 2020. So that's the difference. Appropriation status, let's see, we should be about 93%. As you can see, all the major funds that we track are well below 83% or 93%, sorry. And the revenue status, everything's above the curve.
So we know you haven't done December yet,
No,
but pretty confident we'll be okay. I mean, we're nowhere near on appropriation statuses. Lost storms, it was kind of there.
That was because of the $40,000 check that we wrote out. Well, the majority of that came out of the storm.
Yeah,
Because I mean, all the,
I guess my question is when we get to the budget, then do you have a better sense of projected carryover?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I am getting there because I've already paid all of December's bills already, except for one, that's an automatic payment, the debt payment to OWD. That'll come out till the 30th, I believe, the 31st. I think the 30th. And as I've been paying the bills, I've been closing POs. I write blanket purchase orders for things like electricity, utilities and that kind of stuff. And as I've been paying that stuff, if there's any money left over, I've been closing them. So I've been lowering that the encumbered portion of that this month so far. I'm working it down. It changes daily, but I'm getting close to that number.
Okay.
I think I've updated. Yeah, I'll pull when I pull up the budget. We just talk about the budget. It's updated as of tomorrow.
Okay. Cool.
That's it for the metrics. And then,
Sorry, going back to Star Ohio.
yeah.
Any indication when that's going to start going back up?
No, I posed that question. Evidently, I asked the wrong person because when I was trying to bounce, I couldn't log in for some reason, and I called them, and it's a good thing I did, so they could give me the interest over the phone because it was down. Their system was down for 2 weeks, so I'd still be waiting for.
Yeah, we were real low. I mean, the Fed rate was still zero back in 2018, 2019 when we were getting 2019 had almost $800 in November. It's based on interest on investments.
Well, it should be high.
It should be high again because
Everything's been coming up and up and up. And up.
But it's not.
Well, I can inquire again, but I must not have talked to the right person when I called them a week ago.
okay.
And of course, now you have your up-to-date status on everything.
Anything sticking out in line?
No. Nothing in danger like last month when we didn't have enough to pay for electricity, but that was taken care of.
Okay, anybody got any questions? Brian? Okay, moving right on. Number 2, the new business.
Well, approval.
Oh, yeah, we need a motion. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial. I will second.
Any discussion on it? Roll call, Brian.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Caller,
Yes.
Hankinson.
Okay. Number 2, approval of the financial report. Is that what we did?
That's what we just did.
Ordinance 21, 36.
Okay, that is a new ordinance coming up tonight, if you remember correct. Remember I showed you the worksheet with the vacation payouts?
Yeah.
This ordinance here is rather than increasing appropriations, you wanted me to try to find money to reallocate the money. And I was able to do that. That's what this ordinance does. So we can do the vacation payouts.
Is this also for all the, just in case people want to retire too, or is it just for vacation?
This is just for vacation.
Vacation,
There, I have received no notifications whatsoever for anybody retiring.
And this is just to do the vacation payouts for this year,
So it-
because we're switching over from the random to when you got hired to January 1.
Right.
And so, good job finding that money in the appropriated stuff to be able to just move around. Because we're gonna have to potentially appropriate more, but good job.
So,
And that's gotta pass tonight,
yeah, that's got to pass tonight.
because we want to clean up at the end of the year.
But I purposely put that also go through committee.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, you want to see the spreadsheet? I can pull that up. Well, yeah, the ordinance spells out where I'm taking money from.
Well, we got it here
Say
too.
fund two.
Fund two,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that makes sense to me.
I'll sponsor it in. I'll make a motion to take it to council now.
Yeah, I'll second that.
okay.
Roll call.
Keller,
Yeah.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Hankinson.
Yes. Twenty 22 budget.
Okay. Let's see if I can find this over. Okay, so like I said, this is the updated budget numbers. The projected revenues did not change. And these carryover numbers, even going down here, are as of today, or, well, actually through the 5th, as of tomorrow. What's tomorrow's date? 14th?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, as of tomorrow. Street funds in a little bit in the hole, $3,600. But like I said, the street fund's gonna get a gas tax check this week. And they've been averaging around anywhere from 12 to 14,000.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So this, I'm not too concerned with the street fund. Even though it's still in the short, and the reason why that is when we had a meeting with the team last week, cutting some of their projects, okay? Tim cut 93,000 in street paving projects.
For this coming year.
Yeah, that got it down there, but then we added in, needs a dump truck.
Yeah, I talked to him, yeah.
I tried to estimating what that payment's gonna be. I'm thinking if it's a 7-year loan at 3%,
Ooh, that high?
I'm just estimating, I don't know. It probably wouldn't be 3%. But 7 years, if you take that off the principal, 90,000, that's $13,000 payment on principal alone. Interest estimating 3,000. I'm just guessing
Yeah,
here.
I know, yeah.
I mean, everything else is for him. It hasn't really changed. Other than taking off.
So by buying that truck, and paying somewhere like 35,000 a year. What are we taking away to pay to have them truck? Anything, or that just?
Well, we cut a
We're
couple.
gonna do all for streets and?
Well, yeah, we're still doing all the streets,
Okay.
except for the 2 that he cut. One of them was, let me pull up that one. Where's my mouse? There it is. Projects.
Monroe and West.
That's it, Monroe and West.
Two short ones, 2 small streets. And one small, small. Okay. And I talked to him today about the dump truck. He said the one we got now is just falling apart. So,
So that's up to council to decide if they
you know,
to go ahead with that. I mean, I can start that conversation with the bank or about the possibility of getting a loan for that. But that's something you have to budget. If you take away the debt payment on that, I'm just guessing as to what that number is going to be. I mean, he was okay, and then when I threw in the debt payments, I threw it back in the hole. But like I said, Friday this week, he's going to get out a gas tax check. So that negative number is going to be a positive number. So
And this truck, if I may intervene, is going to be for the snowplow. So it's important that the current truck that we have is just basically falling apart, and this will allow us to have a reliable vehicle for the snowplow. Plus, this, I believe, does not require the driver to have a CDL.
And Terry, tell me, if we get the dump truck in the past, most of the vehicles in the street department, trucks that are in pretty good shape now.
Brian, will you repeat what Chuck said? I couldn't understand him, please.
Most of the vehicles that's in the street department are in great shape. I mean, most of them are kind of new, right?
This is the worst one we have right now. That is correct, Chuck. That's your question. We have been, is that your question? I'm sorry. Okay.
The rest of the fleet is actually in pretty decent shape.
Yes. I believe at this time, yes. We have did really good in replacing older vehicles. And again, this one would accommodate our major truck for this, our major truck for the snowplow, correct?
Okay, thanks.
And I
Well-
think my conversation with Tim, to tell you the truth, was he didn't know, and Brian, you were there, he didn't know if this truck that we have now that we put the snowplow on, that we need a CDL to drive, would even make it through the winter.
yeah,
There's so many things wrong with it.
that's what he said.
There's so many things wrong with it.
If we keep the winter like we had so far, we're in good shape. So, but Brian, okay, that's street department, fund. Go back to the water or the sewer. I saw one of them that was in the hole.
Okay.
A lot of red.
Okay. I'll go to that, but I want to point a couple other things out on this page here. We got approved for a grant. Right there it is. 2,600. That's a cooperative forestry assistance grant fund. That's a new fund. $2,600, but it requires its own fund because it's a federal grant. So that was thrown in there.
And the only thing on that one, if I may interject again, is that this is not additional funds that we are taking to match this. These are the funds that we already have. We're just doubling our money, so to speak.
Basically, we budget for trees at $10,000 every year.
Yeah, right.
We're using that money to pay for this grant, our share of the cost for this grant. That's basically what we're doing. Not the full 10 grand, but a portion of it.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Okay. Water fund. This is the one where I'm just shaking my head at. This is what I'm talking about. I see how I got that in parentheses. 70,000. That's what Joey wants me to cut, and I can't remember. I really can't remember if that's a 70,000 I budgeted, or if I mean, if you take that 70,000 out, it's golden. It's in the black.
Okay. I know with the new, the infrastructure money that's coming from the federal government, the county. I know we haven't received it yet. And do we know how much we're going to get in it?
Are you talking from the actual infrastructure bill?
Yeah, the one you just passed, what?
The one that just passed?
168, House Bill
No,
168.
he's talking the federal one.
Oh,
Yeah,
The money-
rate, and then it has to go to the county, and then they have to figure it out.
So we haven't,
I'm not holding my breath for more than a month. Okay, based on the way we got 168 money and stuff like that, because because the breakdown, especially for water infrastructure, was a lot less than for roads. And the majority of the water infrastructure money goes for lead pipe replacement as opposed to failing systems. I'll look through my notes real quick. I want to say of the umpteen billion that was passed, only 35 billion was actual here. 1.2 trillion tapped, 55 billion for water, 15 billion for lead pipe, 10 billion for chemical cleanup, and that leaves 30 billion for infrastructure repair and replacement, and that 30 billion has to go across all 50 states.
Yeah.
So,
Less than $10 billion in state.
so just doing the math real quick here. Let me grab my calculator.
I didn't know we got anything.
Yeah, 30, there's 30,000, 3 million.
While the mayor's doing his math also, the only place that I can see, and I've been studying this bill, where we could use any money when it comes to lead pipes, because we don't have lead pipes in our system, but there may be service lines, but that would be very, very hard to identify. And I was on a seminar last week with, in a webinar last week with Ohio Rural Water, and that's one of the things that they pointed out, that most of the time the service lines could have it, and then that could be where we're getting some leakage. So I'll keep on that to see if that's anything that we can go after.
So just to give you an idea, and we know the federal government doesn't work like this, but if they took the entire 30 billion and split it equally across all 50 states, and then Ohio took its portion and split it equally across 88 counties, Fairfield County would get $6,818,000, which is about half of what we asked for in our bond levy to replace all the lines. So I wasn't far off on my dollar.
Yeah, it would be nice if we got something. But
Right.
I will probably get something. I'm not sure it's going to be, and I hope I'm wrong. I just don't know that it'll be enough for us to do.
Right. And as far as House Bill 168, just a little report on that. You know, they have now did 3, do you want to call them tranches or whatever they're called, 3 different payments out of that House Bill 168. I think they have 1 more to go, but at this time we haven't been lucky enough to be in either of those. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. By the end of the year, though, we should know whether all that money is gone or what.
And yet somehow the county engineer said that our project was really, really good.
Line there. A bit more of a drive, yeah.
I mean, quite frankly, maybe that's what we have to do. Let's figure out how to crisscross water lines across state routes. So that's apparently how you get your projects back there. Because a lot of them cross state lines. Lancaster was, almost $1 million. Yeah. It's about 1,300 feet.
Yeah, so, right, not right, yeah.
So
I know that one's going in down there, because they just did one up right up to Memorial Drive about, oh God, maybe 15 years ago, they gave inch line, I think, or 12.
Yeah, I forget. This one connects one side to the other side.
So I got, as you can see, I got that formula. I take that $70,000 out and turn it into a positive.
But we don't remember what that 70.
I know, that's the problem. I can't remember when I put that in there.
You'll know tomorrow.
I mean, the thing of it is, I can cut that.
Well, and I guess the thing is, though, is if you cut that, that's fine, because that's in the capital outlay for repairs and replacement. So it's not going to affect operation. It's not like we're
Right.
going to be able to.
No. It won't, no.
But we take that out, and then all of a sudden we say, oh, wait, that was this project. Well, then Terry and Joe can start moving projects around, or we can come back and see where we're at in reality.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what we're gonna have to do.
Yeah. My plan is to get with Brian on this tomorrow. We had a short conversation today on the phone. My goal is to be in the morning. If, fingers crossed, we don't spike fevers tonight. And then this is my number one thing, is to have this conversation with him and Joe.
A couple other things I want to point out. As you can see, I was able to work with Brad, and there was a couple projects that he was able to say this is not really required this year. We pushed it off to 2023. So he is now good as of right now, and that should be that way. Because the majority of those we shifted down to the sewer improvement fund. Swimming pool didn't change. The only thing that changed in the swimming pool was this number. And as soon as I paid electricity this month, that's going to even up that even more a little bit by a couple, 2,000 or 3,000. The sewer improvement, okay. The other changes I made also was the water and sewer debt service. Remember, if you remember last meeting, I sit there and said we're starting to accumulate resources. And it's time to start paying. We can't pay off any loans early except for maybe the OPWCs. Okay, well, I did that. I found a couple loans, one in each water, one for sewer and one for water. I'm going to say we're going to pay off OPWC loan CQ04M and CQ090. Basically, I took what the existing amortization schedule what we're supposed to have to pay next year. Oh, God, where's my mouse? Over here. I know. I'm trying to get it on this computer over here. Oh, where's it at? There it is. Okay. Bring up my debt worksheet amortization schedule. Well, there it is. Now it's over there. Yeah, this is our amortization schedule. So basically, I'm paying off this one here, 2008 sanitary sewer manhole. That's adding another 41,000 to it. And I believe the other one is up here. 09, yeah, this one here. 090, 40,000. And as you can see, that eliminates 2042's payment. So that would lower our amortization schedule from 2042 down to 2040. So by paying those off. I mean, these three, where am I at? There I am. Yeah, these three right here, you really can't pay off early.
Because those are backed
Well,
by bonds.
This is backed by bonds. This is the People's Bank loan, and this is OWDA loans. So those you can't pay off early, but these OPWCs you can.
Yeah.
We paid one off a couple years ago, and I think it was $4,000. I think it was for the next. We were paying $150 for 20 years. We paid that off a couple years ago.
So Mayor, last year when you did your analysis, and you were looking at paying off loans, were these the two that you also thought we could pay off, or was there something else?
That was a couple of years ago, but those, well, it was just loans in general.
Okay, all right.
Because then we've got some of the other ones, some of the other PWC ones that are no interest. That, why it doesn't cost us anything to keep them, pay them off now, it frees up the money tomorrow. So, if you took if we had the funds to do the East Water Tower and water line one as well, if we had those funds to pay off in 2022, that frees up $17,000 for 7 years after that.
Yeah, we still owe 140,000 on the East Water Tower.
Yeah, like I said, if we had the funds
That pay off the small
for it.
41,000, stuff like that. we did.
I mean, the other ones that we might want to look at next year would be the one there for 99,000 or the one next to it for 89,000.
Yeah, that was the one we took out in 2018 for the Dorchester project.
Yeah. I mean, you pay off $80,000 this year, and that's what we don't have this year, but then we get $6,000 more for the next 15 years on that one.
Well, the Dorchester one's paid out of the MVL fund, so
Okay. So,
I mean, you're looking at cutting because this is,
well, and like, so that one's paid out of the MVL fund. So if we had the money in the MVL fund,
we could.
we pay it off. But like the other one where you said we can't really pay it off early, they might not accept the payments early, or we have to pay the full freight with the full interest on it. But there's nothing that says which one was it. I think it was that People Bank loan, the People Bank loan. So just as an example, what's the time? If we had $1.3 million,
Oh, I'm sure the bank would take that. Yeah.
they would take that. If they say they can't pay it off early, we can create a fund and put it in there. That way, that money is paid for, and we can essentially take it off our books and reallocate the funds.
That one you might be able to pay off early. I'm not 100% sure on that.
If it's a people loan, why wouldn't?
Well, the reason why I say that because I'm looking at the dollar amount that's owed.
But those ones under $100,000 are
Yes.
ones that it might hurt a little bit this year to do, but not as bad as 15 years of
The interest rate though.
they're interest free. A lot of them.
But only 3 of them we pay interest on the plate.
Yeah. It doesn't cost us any money
I guess if you would.
to keep paying on them, but it also doesn't help our debt rating when we keep them on the books. And again, some of these are smaller, so we're talking cents, but $1,800 extra a year is $1,800 extra a year, and it starts to add up.
The dollar's worth less every year at the moment.
Well, and that becomes the analysis, the present value of the dollar versus the future value. It doesn't cost us anything to keep it,
Right.
but at some point we might say, on one of those bigger ones, if
If you get an interest bearing one, I would say absolutely, we gotta go do that.
yeah,
The interest free ones, I mean, right now we're in a pretty inflationary period. 2 years from now, this dollar is gonna worth a lot less than they are today. And there'll be more of them coming in because taxes will go up, everything else will go up because inflation.
and maybe the thing we gotta keep like on a bank loan though versus some of the OPWC loans is that goes on basically our credit rating. And so the more debt we keep, the worse rate we get on those interest bearing loans that we do have.
I guess what I'm saying is we should save it and put it towards an interest rate one. And would we even have to pay off an entire loan? Couldn't we just pay down the principal by that amount?
Yeah.
We could, but
You gotta re-amortize it and get the same savings.
Pay an extra 100,000 on the people's bank loan instead of.
Yeah, and have them re-amortize it.
well, yeah.
And then we save the same money, but we save it plus interest.
Yeah.
And I get lower our debt to income ratio. I got it, 100% agree. But let's figure out a way to hit the interest bearing ones instead of non-interest bearing.
Well, this one here, we just refinanced last year.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's,
But to pay down the principal and re-amortize it still shouldn't be a big
Well,
issue.
Well, the one with the bonds is special because it's the bonds, but the people's bank loan and maybe even the OWDA.
no, the OWDA, you cannot. They will not negotiate on that.
So the people's bank loan though, we could look at,
Approach them about it. I wouldn't see why we couldn't
well, extra principal payments and just re-amortize.
re-amortize it.
Yeah, the bonds here, we just did last January, if you remember. we can't do anything with that for at least 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, is the goal here to try to lower the debt service on the water bills?
That's why I'm trying to eliminate some of these OPWCs. The goal is if we get rid of some of those, maybe we can lower some of, and eventually start lowering some of the water and sewer bills.
So I guess if we can't tackle the whole interest bearing loan, can we tackle part of it and save the interest and the principal payment by having it reamortized?
Well, I'm still suggesting to pay off at least 2 of the OPWCs for next year. Knock a couple of them out. The police cruisers will be paid for next year. That would be, if I remember correct, over here. Yeah.
Brian,
1 year. Yeah.
Just a note also, when I heard someone say we could reduce sewer costs, but that's just the debt portion of the sewer, not the sewer.
Right.
And then,
Okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that goes into that analysis too. If we pay off the interest, if we pay extra principal on the interest, is it lower it enough to be able to knock off someone's debt obligation versus paying off one of the no interest ones that would allow us? We might pay a little more in interest in the long run, but we can knock $1 or so off everybody's bill. It helps.
And don't mind this red line. This is just how I balance things. I got, yeah, so like next year, our debt obligation is 774,000. If you scroll that up, that just basically means that I match the total for next year. That's my way of balancing, make sure we balance. But anyway, that's,
We'll show you sometime, Brian. We'll get together on Excel because you can conditional format that cell so that if it's in balance, it shows up one color. And if it's out of balance, when it's out of balance, it shows up a different color and it's warning flag.
so that's what I did. I took off the yearly payment from the budget and added in the full balance of what's due. And as you can see, we're still, by the end of next year, we're still at a plethora of potential carryover funds in that, and in those 2 funds.
Which then we're looking at next, maybe
Maybe tackling some more debt.
more debt.
Well, with that type of carry, what we could conceivably do is come middle of the year, summer, if projections are panning out, look, start then talking about, we have some, we could go ahead and do some more next year. If the projections pan out.
So that's pretty much the budget. Like I said, I've already removed, I got rid of the deficit in the water fund just now. So that's now a positive. The street fund still a slight deficit there, 36, but like I said, they're going to get a gas check this week and it's going to be at least $12,000. So that's going to take that negative to a positive.
So I guess my question though is, this will be attached as an exhibit to the ordinance, and if it's passed tonight, it technically gets submitted with a deficit there.
No, I don't have to submit to the county auditor until next year.
Well, I guess my question is,
Hey, I can't submit this until I certify the fund balances.
well, I know, but I guess if we approve it like this, and then you get an additional, at least $12,000 in there, that changes the revenues coming in, which affects that.
No.
Do we have to amend?
No, because this number here, I can't do anything till I close the books. It's a combination of your cash on hand plus any outstanding encumbrances and outstanding POs. As I close POs, that encumbrance number shrinks and your cash number will go up. See what happens then? What happens is I can't file any of these appropriations until I certify the fund balances to the county auditor, and I have until like January 20th to do that.
So as long as we don't change the appropriation.
Right.
side, we're good.
Yes.
Yeah, because they know that you gotta wait the end of the year to get, to turn the figures into them.
Right.
Okay.
You got it. Okay.
So what was that number for the water fund? 1,243,574 even, right?
Mhm.
1,243. 1,243,754, right? Is that right? I do that? No, I did that wrong. Wrong.
Copy and paste there.
Well,
I
no.
know what the figure was.
1, 2, 4, 3, 7. I did it in the wrong column. There we go. Now that negative's now black.
Should be black.
So I just want to take the time, if you don't mind, to thank the team because they worked very, very hard, not only to get these budget numbers around so that we can be this close at the end of the year to having a final budget for next year, but they also worked very hard in seeing where they needed to cut based on what we really needed to do out there. So the team did a really good job, and I thank them for that. We had a lot of meetings and a lot of hair pulling, but we got it done.
I went over the street and the water and sewer and the debt service fund. I mean, here's the general fund. This here is the police department.
So we didn't change anything in any of this.
I really don't think if I would have changed anything, it would have been a utility. I did remove the auditing services from all the street water and sewer and put it under the general in my area this year. I budgeted, I think, 1,000 for that. I split it out in between the 4 funds. That's all moved into the fiscal officer area now. It didn't make any, I really didn't change anything other than that. My projections on the health insurance for the employees was spot on. Unfortunately, they were not able to. Rankin was not able to find anybody that was willing to even talk to us. So some employees are paying an additional 25%. Some are paying around 19 increases. So depending on what plan they pick. And again, some of the salary numbers, again, we have staff openings. I'm guessing as to what they're going to make. I'm guessing as to what insurance plan they're going to take, or if they take it at all. I'm just guessing.
Well, I'm gonna say the budget would get the third reading tonight anyhow, and then, you know, so. Okay.
I plugged in the increase for one of the agreement. I think the agreement with the Baldwin Group. I think I got a notification with that. That went up to $1,785, I believe. The 2,200 and 3,000. There's going to be no change in the magistrate and special prosecutor rates next year, Mayor.
No.
Okay. Yeah, there's where I threw in right there's the line for auditing. It's all in the general fund now. Any questions on the general fund? Like I said, I really didn't change too much from when you saw it back in November. Oh, I did add projects. Let's see. There we go down here. Police chief, I budgeted for new computers for you, Mr. Tussey, and a new telephone system. And the zoning department getting a new computer.
You mean the chief's gonna get rid of a string and cans?
I haven't seen telephones like that since the last time I watched my neighbors.
Trying to pull you.
So all in all, the total general fund appropriations went down from last year, so. That's mainly because we're not transferring any money. And it looks like if everything goes with projected, you're looking at about a $450,000
Yep.
carryover.
Yep. Brian?
Let me save this before I lose it. Any questions?
I don't. Yeah. Good. Okay, anybody else have anything, any new business? Barry, anybody? Brian? Sarah?
Just
No,
one,
I'm good.
since we're in finance, I keep getting an email from a resident on West Maple Street wanting the village to reimburse them for gravel they put down in an area that may or may not be an alley behind their house. I think I told them no before, but I keep getting it, so just in case you guys hear it, not another one today.
Well, the alley behind my house, I put a whole truckload of gravel and I just call it village, because I use it for my drive,
Yep.
I got with a street right away and said, "No, I shouldn't take it with that."
So,
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, they sent it to me. I forwarded it to Terry.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know.
I've said no a couple of times.
Yes.
but
Yes.
it doesn't only want to use it, I mean. And
I
probably,
will, I will reply back to her tomorrow.
and probably not the whole alley, probably just part of it, what they want to use, so. Yeah, okay. Anybody else have any questions on the new business on finance?
Speaking of next month's meeting, when's our next month? January 10th. I probably will not have the reconciliation ready, because,
I don't say that's probably okay.
I can go over the appropriation report and maybe give you the update on the other stuff, but I have a physical and maybe give you some information as to what the check register was and how much we spent last month or this month.
Since everybody's here, we probably won't have a finance committee formed at the next meeting because the 10th is when council will appoint the seats. So I don't know who will be where.
Okay. Okay.
So I was going to ask anyway that, everyone just kind of show up and you can give us an update and then we can approve the financials in February meeting.
Okay, I can do that because I'll have it reconciled. I just won't post it because once I post it, I can't do anything else like reduce POs or anything like that as I pay bills. So I don't want to do that until the very last thing I do when I close a year. So I won't have the reconciliation. I have everything. I can have everything else ready, like the appropriation status and the metrics or whatever, but the actual physical reconciliation itself, no.
And we might have a short finance meeting on the second meeting of January. If you don't want to wait till February. I mean, if we can wait till February, fine. I mean, if not.
Well, it could wait till February.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else have anything? Hearing none, the finance meeting is over. Next meeting, short meeting, I guess, January 10th.
And we'll be scheduled for January.
Yeah, we'll just say that. Yeah.
Well, I think Brian might actually be fixing the recording though. We're back to multiple.
Okay.
First, man, do quarter then at 6. Yeah, 6:55. And roll call.
Hamilton, Keller, Foreman.
And also the mayor, the administrator. Chief and roll call. Total of 2021.
I second. Howard.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Foreman.
Yes.
Any visitors or Debbie?
Are you talking to me?
2021 goals, the cemetery project. There's anything on it.
I don't think she heard you.
Terry, anything on the cemetery project?
Cemetery's carried over to next year, right?
Oh, yes, sorry, I didn't hear you. Yes, we are, we'll be working on that again next year. This has just been a long process.
Okay. And rules committee, or the rules of council.
What was the next one, Brian?
Rules of council, that's put off to next year too.
Mayor, do you want to review that in, at the January meeting or not really?
Yeah, we can, I guess one of the things I was thinking, and this will, we have time now, later, one of the things I was thinking is, of course, rules committee has to look at council rules, and we always approve them at the first meeting, but then can update them. And I'm actually dealing with this with another municipality, but one, we may very well have a bunch of new council members coming on that may or may not have council experience elsewhere or understand legislative process and all of this good stuff. And one of the things that I think would be beneficial would be the Ohio Municipal League puts on every year in January a new council seminar. It's a one-day seminar. It's like $70 to go to. It goes over basic legislative stuff, sunshine laws, ethics, how your old Schoolhouse Rock, how a bill becomes a law type thing for villages. And it's a pretty good program to go to. I think anybody that wants to go to it that is new should go to it, and the village should pay for it. You know, I think because things change from time to time, it would be good for everyone on council to go to every now and then, not every year, but maybe every 8
I did the last time I went, when the first year I was on council, so 20 years ago.
So maybe every 8 years or something like that to go to it. But the only people that can enforce that rule is you as council. So something in the rules that says, you know, once every 10 years on council or something, you know, newly elected and every 8 years thereafter or something, council will attend the, you know, council seminar or something like that on sunshine laws and ethics and legislative process and stuff like that. I think that would be something good to look at putting in there. Obviously, there's not time to do it now, but that is something that I think next year should be on the rules committee's radar, especially if we end up potentially with, you know, three new council members on here. And, you know, and it's a good refresher for those that we've been on here for a while, but I would consider myself in there still. So yeah, right. Yeah, I would be interested. So there will be one in January. When Wade came on, he went and we paid for it. So in January, Rick, Randy, you guys, along with whoever else want to go, we just, like I said, right now, I can't force you to go, but if you guys want to go, let Terry know and or Ryan, and the village will cut the check to the OML for you. I will try to look up to date in between the meeting here in a second.
Where's that at? Level, sir.
Yeah, last year they held it virtually, but in years past, it's been, you had it at the Marriott. Sometimes they do it at the, not the Southern Theater, the Hyatt right there, right by the courthouse. They, OML does a lot there, so they get a good rate there.
How much is it?
I want to say when it was like 70 or $75.
I thought it was 70.
Okay, so how many, because it's not, see, I pulled up the budget right now. This is the council line. I haven't budgeted that, so give me an accurate count.
Probably have the money though, right?
Yeah, but I need to add it.
So call it 75
Times,
times 5.
that would be,
Well, just do it
75.
Do it 75 by 6 in case.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I would skip it. Let the newer one go.
That's 375.
I've been on it and-
So yeah, perfect budget. Yeah.
It won't hurt, yeah.
it's been added.
All right, good deal. So, I mean, as far as the goals for 2021, the rules of council going to 2022, I think that should stay on because that's.
Yeah. I agree.
You guys are the only ones that can make that rule and then enforce it amongst yourselves.
It's been added to the budget.
375.
Okay. 2021 paper.
That shouldn't be here, Mike. That was, we already passed that.
That's a new one.
That goal has been met. Yeah.
Oh, we met a goal. Yay.
No business about that. Cemetery project still on hold till next year, right?
Right.
It's not on hold. We're working on it, Mr. Hamilton. It's just going to take us longer to complete it because we're in Maple Grove now. We're all done with Basel Memorial.
Okay.
Rules of council is still ongoing.
Annexation process.
The annexation, Terry.
I don't have anything on that. That could be a next year's goal. We just got so bogged down with short staff and working on cemeteries. It was just, I guess we just had too many goals to try to obtain this year. So, but I think the annexation is a good one and I think it should move forward to next year.
New business and zoning.
Next business zoning fee schedule, Terry.
Okay, Mayor, can we talk about this in committee? I sent you the text.
Yeah, I mean, we can do this here and probably insert, well, it's here, we can talk about it. We got a few minutes tonight because it's on for a first reading. And then if we think it belongs in another committee, we can do that next year, so. But since we got a few minutes, we can go ahead and talk about it. It's not getting passed as an emergency, is it?
I believe it is. I'm looking right now.
Well, it's got the emergency declaration, so it goes into effect, but is this something you wanted passed?
Yes, and this is the reason why. Let me explain a little bit, okay? So I did some research to see when the last time anything was done with the zoning fees in retrospect to a new development or lot splits and et cetera. You know, I've been here 5 years. This year has been an unusual year. We've had 3 or 4 lot splits, you know, and now we're looking at a subdivision. One of the things that I discovered is that a lot split fee is $200 to the residents, but to have our review by the engineers, like our zoning and subdivision regulations say, it was $250. So we have to make sure, you know, this isn't to make money, but we have to cover our costs. So what I did is I got with Jeff and I said to Jeff, it's such an unknown because we haven't, like when was the last time anybody on council did a new subdivision, a PUD? So one of the things that I asked him is that we put something together that says that these fees plus any additional professional or engineering fees needed to do a development and et cetera. And that is what is before you tonight in this ordinance. $50 a lot split, again, $50 came out of our budgets to pay for the engineering review. And so none of that was administrative costs. We didn't use any of that administrative costs. And I know we've had conversations before about, how much time that we put in to do certain things, or, pull people away from the jobs that they usually do, and, to focus on these. So I think we need to just make sure that we are covering the expenses and not trying to make, I'm not trying to make extra money for the village. I just want to make sure I'm covering expenses. Does that make sense?
It's not, council can always change the fee, but using that one at $200, that stays the same. And that covers Carrie and Barb's costs. This is just passing through those additional fees that we get assessed as part of that process.
Yeah. And one of the things, and since I brought up lot split, let me explain that to you. So you know what goes into that. So a lot split can take anywhere from a week or two. I'm working on right now one for a gentleman that I've been working on for a couple of months. Not only do you have time and research and et cetera, but you also have mailings, communications or information letters that need to go out to the general public. And of course, that's postage, that's stationery, that's et cetera. So there are expenses tied to every one of those zoning permits or applications. So it's not just, I don't want you to think it's just an engineering review. That's not just it, but it also has to accommodate all of these supplies and the postage and the time that is spent into researching this. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And the engineering review will be different on different projects. Sure.
Oh,
So we can't really put a fixed price on it.
That is correct. It'll be different, for each item. Like it may be $250 for a lot split, but it may be $1,500 for a preview of a preliminary plan unit development. So it just depends. And I just want to make sure that the village is protected expenses wise, that we have coverage on those expenses.
And the reason, now that we're talking about this, pops into my head that this is requested to be passed tonight is because we did at our planning and zoning have our first of what will be many meetings on a PUD.
Correct.
Rezone and then preliminary plat file. So we've already incurred some engineering costs on that, and we will have more once everything gets filed.
So we're not really putting a dollar amount in this ordinance. We're just putting in that you can charge for what it costs us the village.
Right. If our engineer sends us a bill for $1,500, we give it a copy of that to the person applying it, say, here's what we got, and
So we're switching it from a $200 flat fee to a $200 flat fee plus expenses.
plus expenses.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. And then another example would be, say, for instance, we have to do a hydraulic study, or say we have to do a traffic study. That's why the verbiage says professional and engineering fees. Because we may have to on, I don't mean we have to now, but I mean, it may be in the future that we would have to do one of those studies.
And generally, the developers require them to do not us.
Yeah, those in general, we can a lot of times push off on the developer.
That is correct.
But of course, our engineer is going to want their penny for reviewing what their engineer says.
Everybody got that in the pocket.
Yeah. All right. So that's
Just to cover expenses we incur.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's on third reading, nine passed by emergency.
no first reading, but we'll have to, it's been through committee, but we'll have to bypass 3 readings and adopt.
You want to,
I'll sponsor.
Okay. I'll second a motion. Since you will make a motion.
Sounded like Foreman made the motion to send this to council, seconded by Keller.
Hamilton? Yes. Foreman?
Yes.
Keller?
Okay, just because it's hard to hear, and I apologize for that. We are going to be able to pass this as an emergency tonight, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. The other item I had on the agenda, the mayor notified me tonight that it is more of a safety issue than it's a rules issue. So I need to re-educate myself in the definition of a rules committee agendas. So I apologize for that. So I will move the fireworks information that you received to the first meeting in January for safety.
That just has to do with Ohio changed the law earlier this year, after the 4th of July, but I think it went into effect in September, that, you know, you used to have to go and lie and say you were taking fireworks out of state and then go set them off in your backyard and just give the officer a hot dog when they came up. Not that I've ever done that before. Yeah, but they now have certain days in which certain consumer fireworks can legally be set off. However, it gives each municipality, as we've had anyway, so they think they're giving us something, but we already had the authority under home rule anyway, to limit that if we want it. And so that is just a discussion, and I think that's on safety, is if that's something.
So what happens when you have COVID and you're locked up in the house with your husband is that you watch a lot of legislation on TV, believe it or not, for the Ohio, for the House and Senate. So I learned a lot about new laws. So here you go.
So we'll put that on safety next year.
Yes, I will put it there. I apologize for that.
I know.
Okay.
That's all I have, Mr. Hamilton.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything for the rules committee?
Just to say that we'll keep the meeting next year on the first Mondays, January 10th, but there will likely not be, just like there won't be finance, will likely not be an official rules committee meeting, because we'll won't know who's on council until an hour before.
Okay.
We want to make sure do we want to meet at 6 o'clock and sit around? Do we want to maybe meet at 7 o'clock before meetings?
Yeah.
Well, because we originally talked about meeting at like 5 or 5:30 to go through council.
That's right. Yeah.
But I don't think I think we've received 6 letters and applications at this point. So it depends on how long before we will want to talk about it. I don't think there's any harm in saying finance will start at 7:15 or 7 o'clock, just canceling rules that night. And then if you guys want to start at 6 instead of 5 to have time to talk about the council, or 6:30, whatever you guys decide. Think about it until we get to council. But yeah, that's a good idea, because Brian will just have basics for us, so I think that'll work. Or even go, 6:30, and if it takes an hour, Brian's only going to have reconciliation stuff, we can move that to us in council.
That's true.
So think about it for the next 15 minutes till council starts, and then we can go from there.
Excuse me. So, nothing else?
Our next meeting, we determine our next meeting.
Meetings will be first Mondays next year of the month, but there won't be one in January.
Okay, let's stretch it. No meetings in January, right? Motion for adjournment, then.
We move to adjourn.
Come
Keller second.
All in favor?
There you
Aye.
go.
And I.
Oh, aye. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, aye.
From my minutes, yeah.
So, that you're between meetings for committee and council.
Yeah.
Pause 3. Wait, nope, hold on, we're still streaming.